Hello everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you're new to this channel. Basically a little summary of what these on-location videos are, if you're new to them, or to this channel, is that I basically go around and explore Ohio through the lens, and I document and film it like I am right here right now. Just going through, just showing you different scenery, different kind of locations obviously, throughout southwestern Ohio at the moment, but I definitely plan on branching out in the future. Just showing you different scenery, talking about different trails, just showing you behind the lens, like I said, behind the scenes almost, techniques with the camera, and showing you how I get the different shots and images that I do, and then obviously showing you in person out in the field how they look, and just talking basically through my thought process with them, and just kind of summing up my thoughts about the images that I take out here. So anyways, today I am at Pearl's Fen, and it is a very new location. Just opened up a couple months ago from the time of this video, in 2019 here, and it's still being developed honestly, because it's got this different this wooden boardwalk that they finally have been assembling here. Looks like they're not quite done yet, but that's okay, because I like it. It looks really nice, it's really sturdy obviously, and it's a sign of progress, and I really hope they develop it and put more boardwalk, simply because this is a fen and it's a wetland habitat. And so a fen is essentially it's one of the rarest wetland types of habitat that there is. It's very, very small percentage of it, especially in the state of Ohio. It's all been kind of just drained and developed just over the years. And you're probably wondering to yourself, why would animals and plants need this place, or a fen in particular? Why can't they live anywhere else? Very certain specific kinds of plants and animals. Well, pretty much all of them are kind of picky and choosy about their habitats. Like you naturally wouldn't really see a great blue heron out here, or I mean rather in like a forest or a woodland, just because they prefer that water and the aquatic habitat for hunting for fish. So in this case, different kinds of wetlands like this usually host lots of very specific plant life that can only be found in very kind of wet, organic peat soil that is hosted here at a fen. And the cool part about that organic peat is that it actually can be as deep as 6 feet, which is kind of just hard to believe. But yeah, this ground, this kind of wet, moist ground around here, it can actually pretty much sink your feet in. That's why, hence the boardwalk. If you go to any kind of fen or wetland habitat, or any kind of bog, you always see a boardwalk. And that's just because it gives you some very close and intimate views of the wildlife, the flora, the fauna, that you wouldn't get elsewhere without having to put on muck boots or chest waders even, just to even traverse the landscape. And plus I feel like over time the boardwalk is much more safer for the environment. I feel like it protects a lot more than just saying people just walking around and stumbling around. You know, it ruins all the delicate, especially the plant species around here, and disturbs the wildlife. So you're probably still thinking to yourself, why do humans really benefit from having these fens? The plants and the animals have it, but what do we get from it? Well, the pH water that's found in fens like this is actually purifies the water in our systems, so that means that we get much cleaner, healthier water because of different wetlands like this. So as you can probably expect, I'm all for conserving wetland habitat like this, and I'm really excited to explore this place. It's not too big, it's only about a handful of acres, but the fact that they're adding this boardwalk in, I'm not sure how long it'll be, but I'm hoping it goes for quite a few distance. At least a mile would be nice, a nice kind of mile-long boardwalk loop. But there's also some regular trails that go along a winding creek, so we probably see lots of different kind of avian life around here, and at least for today. The lighting is very, very harsh, since it is in the middle of the day, unfortunately, so we're going to have to make the best of it. Hopefully the images don't get too overexposed, just with capturing different kinds of birds here. And other than that, we also got fall foliage kind of quickly coming up underway here, so I might even switch out lenses, and we might try some intentional camera motion, or just some static landscape shots. So yeah, there's just a few ideas that we have today. Unfortunately, I don't think any kind of flowers or plants are really going to be of too much interest here, at least for this visit and the time of year given. So far I've been seeing a handful of different kind of a little more common songbirds. Probably the find so far is just I've heard about twice now a white-throated sparrow call. It's a very kind of up-down, kind of whistly note of a bird call. Haven't seen them yet. Stuff that, you know, to a birder isn't too special, honestly, just because it's more common. But actually the find of the day really was actually a mammal. It was a white-tailed deer. Pretty nice sizable point buck that was actually just like ran out in kind of the front of the trail, and then we both just instantly kind of locked eyes, and I stood completely still. Unfortunately, I had the video tripod and video camera like this, and so the big telephoto was actually behind me a couple feet, because I was just like scouting ahead to see if I can shoot any more B-roll. And this buck just kind of like just kept looking up, looking down, looking up, and eventually just kind of moseyed its way, kind of going away from me, and eventually it just kind of took off. But I made sure to be as still as possible when it made eye contact, which it kept doing constantly because it saw me move in the first place. And then when it would look down or kind of start moving away or start almost like pretending to be distracted by something else, like on the ground, then I would kind of start, you know, I'd put down the first tripod, I kind of started backing up, and fortunately, I didn't get any video or photo of it, which is a little bit of a bummer, because it was just a really nice looking buck. The lighting was kind of okay. I was just kind of right out in the open like this is, pretty harsh, to be fair. So, and I'm not sure if it's because of the on and off winds that keep happening, pretty much constantly so far since I've been here. But it seems like the birds are trying to stay in shelter in all the kind of thicker trees. So I hear in their calls, but definitely it's making it really tricky to really see them, and even more so to photograph them. So other than that, I'm really not sure what else I'm going to do here, to be fair. So I'm starting to think a little more creatively. I'm thinking with these bright, bold, just clear blue skies, maybe working with them and trying some different kind of creative blurs, because there's a lot of different kind of white, really light colored bark trees. Most of them are pretty skinny and small, but they have some bright yellow leaves, and just all these colors I'm really thinking might work together, make some really nice kind of artsy photos. But it's just, I was really hoping to get some bird photos here, so I'm holding out. You know, we might still see something, but this area is so small, so there's really not too much ground to cover, so I'm not sure if we'll see anything else. But off to my side here, I didn't even know this before I came here. I think this is my second visit. They constructed a new, looks like over the creek crossing, a little bridge. It looks really nice, so I'm going to see what's over on the other side, and hopefully there's some more trail to really check out. So I'm just going to keep continuing here, and hopefully I take a photo today. That'd be nice. But yeah, we'll see. Alright, so now it's abstract time. I'm trying something a little different here. I'm using actually a wide angle lens instead of a small telephoto zoom lens. to try these creative blurs. And this time I'm actually, instead of focusing way up top on the tree canopy for the foliage leaves and all the bright different kind of warm colors and tones, I'm actually focusing on the fallen leaves on the ground, intermixed with all the different kinds of the dirt and all that in the different tree branches. So it's kind of creating this very muted color palette of different browns and grays mixed in with all the different bright yellows of the fallen leaves here, and mixed in with the wide angle lens perspective creates this kind of very swirly, it's kind of like a curvature of a photo. Instead of a horizontal or a vertical driven blur, this one's actually more of a curve essentially. Now another different thing I'm trying here is I'm not shooting with a polarizer lens to just accentuate the colors and warm up all the different leaves. I'm actually just shooting it straight as it is. I'm shooting with a very narrow aperture of f/22. That's actually the most narrow that this lens in particular can handle. And whenever I do these blurs or abstracts, I always shoot at the most narrow aperture because that lets in the least amount of light compared to a very wide aperture of, let's say, f5.6, f5, or even f4, and so on really. But this really narrow aperture allows you to slow down the shutter, which that will let in more light, but not too slow. Usually, typically around maybe about a third of a second, up to 1 second. It's kind of like the good, even ground that I would shoot at for these. And then I'm letting the ISO I'm letting the camera dictate the ISO just by shooting at auto ISO. And if you got the other two settings right, it should just be straight at ISO 100, and that works just as well for this. So overall, I really like how these are turning out, just because they're a little different from the typical foliage creative blurs that I'm used to doing, and it's just a nice new perspective. Instead of looking up, I'm just looking down, and I find it really works well in this case. Alright, so we're pretty much finished for the day. We're back right where we started, here at the gravel parking lot in the boardwalk. Like I said, it's not a very big place. It's definitely still under development, so I'm hoping it'll just keep improving as the years go on. But for right now, I really like the different trails there are, especially the one way in the back that has some deep woodland, and especially this time of year you can see lots of different fall foliage there that just really looks spectacular. And it's nice and deeply shaded, and there's a nice winding trail along this kind of big hill, and there's some really large kind of earthen stone, giant rock slabs that are back there. They're really cool to see. So I'm expecting, or I'm thinking at least, there must be some little bit of a geological history with this part of the area and the fen itself, of course. So unfortunately, I really didn't get much images in my time here today. Got a couple different songbirds, like a robin photo. I also did a little bit of a staged image, if I'm being honest, and I really feel like I should be, of just a little stem of some different yellow leaves, and I cleared out this little path on the dirt, like right before me pretty much on the trail, and I just laid out in the middle and did a nice wide angle top-down perspective with that. And so it looks great as a photo, but yeah, it's definitely something I just kind of constructed, but I like the result with that. But other than that, just different kind of creative blurs and abstracts, which, I mean, I love taking those, but I definitely wanted to get some other more variety of images. But sometimes you really have to just put a handle on those kind of higher expectations of trying to get a variety of photos. So unfortunately, it's all I got, but it's images that I'm pretty much happy with overall. And so with that being said, this has been Pearl's Fen. It's definitely a new place I'm going to be checking out in the future sometime soon here, and throughout all the different kinds of seasons. So thank you so much for exploring with me, and until next time, make sure to get out there, guys. Thank you.